Welcome to Life on Maui. I'm your host, Stephen Freed.
I am your co-host, Radhi. Today we have a wonderful organization to talk about, Shaka, a grassroots movement based here on Hawaii. And it is so wonderful to be living in Hawaii. We have such a perfect climate. You can grow your own garden, fresh from the soil onto your table, bring your tomatoes, bring your lettuces, and it goes through the entire year.
It's absolutely true. And that's the paradise that we live in. The other side of the coin is that some major corporations like Monsanto has their eye on doing chemical agriculture and not realizing that even though it is isolated in their mind, it's an isolated place in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, but it affects all of the inhabitants and all of the visitors who come to Maui, and we have concern about that Shaka is handling.
That's true. I mean, it's the perfect petri dish for all kinds of experimentations, energy, crops, farm, and the results of it is what we're concerned. It raises all kinds of questions. The environment, is it being harmed? People's health, is it being harmed? And who's keeping an eye? Who's watching? And the good news is that we do have Shaka who's watching and protecting and preserving not only the land, but most importantly, making sure that the results of these experimentations, these traits that are sought after, these big industrial agricultural, like Monsanto, like Synergy, like DuPont, that they do not cause major health consequences for people.
And we're very fortunate. Today, I'm going to throw the ball to you to start the show, and we have a wonderful guest, Beth Savitt, and she is going to expand on this in wonderful ways to help us all understand what's going on here.
Beth Savitt, welcome to our show. We are very honored that you agreed to give us this wonderful conversation.
Of course, Radhi, thank you.
Wonderful. So we want to get to know you a little bit. Tell us about yourself.
I've lived in Maui now for 5 years. This is my home, and I love it. I'm very grateful to be here.
It's a wonderful place.
Oh, love live Maui.
Yes.
And I feel it's a very special environment. It's a very sacred place. It is the heart chakra of the world to me. When I came here the first time, I was 15, and I knew I would move here. And I had to wait for a time when that was a true possibility in my life.
Wonderful. And your background, you are a community clinical psychologist.
Yes, I am. And I also am a student of the Taoist medical arts, which encompasses a lot about food and herbs and nutrition.
Also an educator.
And an educator. I was a principal of a school with 145 kids pre-K through 8th grade in Santa Cruz, California.
Now you're the president of Shaka.
Yes, Sustainable Hawaiian Agriculture for the Keiki and the Aina, which is a 501c3, and I'm president of SAFE, Sustainable Action Fund for the Environment.
Wonderful. Yes. We have all that behind. So what event or a personal experience or what brought you into Shaka? Was it just your personal conviction or something happened?
I was going to participate in Shaka Movement, regardless if I was on the board of directors or not. But I had experience running the school, which was a 501c3. I have a personal foundation that's a 501c3. So I was well acquainted with that operations. I had done radio shows about the environment. My school had a lot to do with the environment. I was raised in a home where I understood that food was medicine. So I had a love relationship with food. I studied traditional Chinese medicinal cooking for a couple years in my kitchen. Every Sunday, this wonderful, wonderful monk would come in and train a handful of us.
Wow.
So food was very dear to me. And Maui's a place where, like you said, we have 4 growing seasons a year. And it's amazing. We should be able to feed ourselves. We should have an abundance because they used to. They used to feed everybody.
Right, and be unconcerned about whether we're eating something that is good for us or is harming us.
They were growing it, so it wasn't a problem. It was set up to feed thousands and thousands of people. And then this farming came in to change it.
What event created the Shaka movement?
Well, I know that Bruce and Douglas and Joe Marshala, they were interested in this conversation.
Yeah.
And Bruce had been holding Earth Day events and really felt that something needed to happen that was a lot more, because we were discovering that Monsanto was actually having test fields here. So they're not growing food.
Oh, yeah.
These are test fields where they see how much chemical they can drench on the plant and keep it alive. The reason they have to do that is they've created super weeds. And so they need more and more herbicides to get rid of these weeds that are now getting resistant to the old herbicides. So that was a big revelation, that we realized they were combining chemicals, using up to 80 different chemicals, sometimes spraying a field, we found out, with 5 chemicals in one day, including some that have been banned, literally out and out banned, one called MCAP-M. And these are all neuroendocrine disruptors. So they have a vast, vast effect on people's health and quality of life.
Yeah, so that definitely is a big concern. The moment you see that you're exposed to this, many questions come up.
And we've never tested these cocktails, these chemical cocktails. Yeah. And we do know they're getting into the homes. They drift. We learned this in the Central Valley of California in the Stanford Charge Study. It can drift. The children nearest to the fields had 44% higher pesticides in their system than those that did not. We know that the IQ points of the children in the Central Valley were 7 points lower when you got closest to these big ag farms. So this is a real concern. It's impacting us in real time.
Yeah.
For women, it impacts them with miscarriages.
Going back to the Shaka movement, once these observations were made, that there's a lot of things that could possibly harm us, all of us living here, the environment. What were some of the initial resistances, obstacles that Shaka had to overcome, and what were the lessons learned?
Wow. The biggest obstacle was Monsanto itself, and the fact that they could spend close to $8 million in the campaign against the moratorium. We developed an initiative, and it was called the GMO Moratorium. We deliberately chose the word moratorium, not no or non or anti. We wanted them to stop. We wanted to get data to see what happened to the soil, what's happening to our waters, our beaches, our children.
Do a study, do a very full, complete environmental and health
study. They could have done it for $1 million in a year, and the situation would have been resolved, but no. Instead, we were blocked legally. We won the vote. This is the first time ever an initiative got on the ballot in Maui. We got the signatures, which was amazing.
It was a big win at the state level.
Big win for us here in the county. They'd never seen this before. An initiative had never passed. So first we get it on the ballot, and then comes the campaigning. So we were up against their $8 million to my little over $200,000. And Shaka proceeded to truly kick butt. We were able to motivate and move this island into action in a way that hadn't been seen before.
Can you tell us about how many people participated?
Oh, we had 23,000 signatures. 23,000 signatures. So it was, the amount of people that participated, it was like the island rose up to help us participate.
Did you get financial funding during that time?
Yeah, we had a lot of donors show up. We had some donors that were really consistent, and we were very blessed that way. And when we didn't have money, we created. We just winged it. We were really good at stretching our dollar. Our executive director, Christina Fisher, and I were always watching the dimes and trying to make it work. But very often we were just going without a dime and just doing what we had to do to get people informed. Because Shaka's mission is to inform, educate, and to protect the public trust, which is this beautiful Aina, this land. So that's really our mission statement, to inform, educate, protect the public trust.
Right, and ensure the future. It's
and ensure that it will be here.
And about the future, Steve is going to continue with the interview where You're
Great.
going to give us an update and talk more about what's happening next.
So, Beth, so happy to have you on the show.
Thank you, Steve.
Our island has been blanketed by sugarcane fields for well over 100 years. And now the company is closing. What are we going to do to make sure that the land is put to the best possible use?
Hopefully, right now, we're trying to get involved on several different levels. Groups have been forming to try and create food hubs, trying to find land to grow organic farms. Our mayor has even said he's going to encourage farming. But see, this land isn't just up to us, it's up to A and B. I know many people with many great plans for remediating the soil because the soil's now toxic. What are we going to do? So we're discussing hemp as a solution because that detoxifies the soil. Black bamboo detoxifies. Legumes detoxify. Those are things that could bring the soil back. The soil in the big island of Hawaii actually was remediated in simply a 5-year period with that focus.
Oh, no kidding.
I was blown away when I heard that. I was like, I thought it would take much longer. So the technology's there. We also have some current technology we've been introduced to, which is making it even more possible. Thing is, that's not our land. The thing is, A and B.
Alexander and Baldwin.
Yeah. We're not just able to say, okay, you're gone. You know, we have other people to deal with.
Yeah.
Whose land? It's their land. Just because they stopped cane, and they stopped cane. They knew they were going to stop cane about 10 years ago. They knew the factory was becoming obsolete, and that they were going to have to bump it up and redo the factory, and it's on the island. You know, all those big stacks and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
It's expensive.
It's been a part of our culture here for how long has they been around? 150 years.
Yeah, they've been.
You know, and they've it's been an integral part. I mean,
And for a while, it was kind of almost like this beautiful thought.
Yeah.
And it made it very seductive. You know, the cane blowing.
Oh yeah, and
But
it is beautiful to look at.
The end result is, our farmers that actually have farms, they're all, the mean age of a farmer here is in their 60s.
No kidding.
No joke. That happened, and they started working for all these A and B lands. And now you're an employee of a company, whereas before you were working with your family to grow food for your family and everybody else around you. It got rid of all the family farming, which was a big problem, because now we're monocropping. This is just, they come in, they throw in their seedlings with the sugar cane, they make it grow as fast as they can, and they cut it down and take it away. They're monocropping. That's never healthy. We know that. So it would be good to see it diversified. There's a big concern about development of homes, development of resorts that are out of sync with where we're at with our roads and our own infrastructure. And I know that our current administration, you know, the profit's in the concrete for our city council.
Well, that's the next question I have. How can we best ensure that the land and the environment is put to good use?
By putting people in there who aren't paid off, who do not receive money from big ag, who do not receive money from developers. We had one person try to run, and she was telling people she didn't receive any money from Monsanto. We found out she had Monsanto lobbyists giving her money, and on her campaign spending report they listed retired. But you go into LinkedIn and you find out they're a Monsanto lobbyist.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
Aye.
these are the people we're dealing with. They definitely get paid off, and this has got to stop. We want people who are independent and will stand up for the Keiki and the Aina and the Kapuna, the elders.
Yeah.
So that we have to change. These people have been entrenched in a city council, and they've held their positions. We finally have two people in there, Ellie and Don, who really do work for the people. Everybody else, I'm not sure. I can't be sure, especially now with our situation.
So-
We have Kaniela Ing, who will really be a backbone for us and helping to bring the hemp industry here, which would make those lands possibly look really good to give them to the hemp industry, possible renters of land. I don't know what's, you know, we hope we can put that land to good use.
Yeah.
But right now, the thing we have to do is, they blew off our moratorium. We're still in the courts. We're in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. we were in state court, and they never even heard my case. They just sent us to federal court, where we just got bulldozed. We got bulldozed with backdoor deals, and I'll say that. The Maui and Monsanto did go into collusion. We don't have absolute proof, but they both went into federal court and rolled over. Monsanto said, no, we don't want it. Maui said, we're not going to defend it. Our county council did not defend our vote or stand up for our vote. So in the spirit of the moratorium, we need people in that city council that will stand up for the spirit and speak to the spirit of the moratorium and make sure legislation is passed within our own city council that they can do.
So what can we best do to support this vision? Maui is such, like we started the show off saying, Maui is such an amazing place to have it be an example for the country, for the world, for energy independence, for food independence. What can we do as a people here? What's the best thing we can do?
Get the Ohana candidates in. These are the people that I'm referring to. They're local. They have a real love for this land, and it's not their job, it's not their business to serve the developers, to serve the big farming. It's not their, they don't want that. So it's now time for a city council that will listen to the people. And when there's a problem and somebody says we think we're being poisoned, a city council that will say, gosh, we better stop and check. Not, hey, lay on, go on, keep it on. We want a city council that will say enough already, and that's Alika Ate from Wailuku District. And we're really hopeful he'll get in. He was one of the 5 citizens of Shaka Movement. And they're all being supported by our O4 called SAFE. And we're hopeful that Alika will also get in.
And where can people go if they want to donate? How can people donate to Shaka?
I would say, you could go to our website. You can go to our Facebook page. Just type in Shaka Movement, and it will lead you to MauiGMOMoratoriumNews.org.
Okay.
And then we have SafeActionFund.org. I think that's one of the most important things we can do.
Wonderful.
And showing up, and just always showing up when we can, to show them we are not backing down, we're not going away. We really are the pivot point in the Pacific for all of this discussion.
Beth, I want to ask you a question. There is a great anecdote that you have about when you went to Monsanto to a big meeting.
It was the shareholders meeting in St. Louis, Missouri.
And you have a story to do with the CEO of Monsanto that you gotta tell us.
I was given some shares of Monsanto stock so that I could attend the shareholders meeting from a gentleman and put forth a proposal about transparency and disclosing their 501c3 donations during the shareholders meeting and have it voted on. It was also an opportunity where I was allowed to do 2 more speeches past that. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be there. So I get there, and there's a woman who's a mother and a young girl from Canada with me.
And where is there?
St. Louis, Missouri. And we're driving into the Monsanto compound, and immediately we're in this car, Anne's car, and it's like covered with environmental bumper stickers. And 2 of the Monsanto security come and just follow us and take us up to a parking lot that's far away from everybody. And they have us park all alone, and then they close off the parking lot.
Did they consider you a security threat?
Oh, we were eco-terrorists.
You were eco-terrorists.
That's what they call us. They've called me quite a few things in the court reports, so
no
I'm
kidding.
eco-terrorist is one of them.
Oh, my goodness.
So we have to stand there, and some more cops come up, their security come up, and we're standing there talking to them, and all of a sudden 3 women come up, and they're our escorts. And they escort us down, and we have to walk with them, each woman. We get there, they take our coats, purses, check us with a metal detector, and we're not even allowed to go to the bathroom by ourselves. Our phones are taken from us, whole 9 yards. We go in, and we're showing where the microphones are and where we're sitting, about 15 rows, then microphones, then us sitting. So we come in, we're seated. President of Monsanto, Hugh Grant, is in the corner of the room. And
Hugh Grant's his name?
Yeah, Hugh Grant's his name. So
we
when
just
I
watched
say,
a movie
so when
with Hugh Grant the other night.
So when I say my final line, it becomes even funnier. But so I see his assistant tap him on the shoulder and point to us, the 3 women that are going to speak, who are environmentalists. He beelines it over to shake our hand and be, a gentleman, and everyone is seated and quiet. They're just, getting seated. And he's a very large man, very tall. And he walks over to us, and he shakes Anne's hand, he shakes Rachel's hand, and then he comes up to me, and he starts to shake my hand, and I pull my hand back. I go, "Do you know how to get laid?" And he sees the lei around my neck, and he goes, "Yes, I do." But I meant the real traditional way. I didn't mean me just putting a lei on him. What you do is you put the lei on the person, lay your hands, we put our foreheads and noses together, and we look in each other's eyes. Like that. And so I did that with the president of Monsanto. I put the lei around his neck, we put our hands on the shoulders, and all of a sudden he allowed himself to lean forward and put his head to mine, and I made him put his nose to mine, but he wasn't looking at me. He was looking at the ground, and all of a sudden you hear me say, "Hugh, look me in the eye."
Oh my God.
And he did for a second, but he couldn't hold a gaze long. And I was able to do my speeches, and at the very end, Mr. Grant said, "Thank you for coming. We're really appreciative you're here." It was very nice of him to say. And then he said, "But I love Maui too, and I won't be leaving anytime soon."
Aha.
Yeah.
Great anecdote. Great anecdote. And last but not least, you and I have talked about you being an egoless presence running this organization, Shaka. And I'd really like to find out from you for this and for an example, what are the benefits of running an organization egolessly?
Well, meaning I didn't kind of put my face first. We had 5 citizens who really were the point of Shaka Movement and the moratorium. We had to have 5 citizens bring forth the initiative to go on to get to the petitions, to turn them in, and to place it on the ballot. They were the point. Dr. Lauren Pang, who is our County Commissioner of Health, was one of our citizens. Although he went as a private citizen for us, he could not use his title. We had Dr. Bonnie Marsh.
Ah, the Bonnie.
The Bonnie.
Aha.
We had Leohu Ryder, a cultural practitioner extraordinaire.
Absolutely. I interviewed her on the show.
And Mark Sheehan,
and Mark as
30
well.
years here kicking butt on Maui for the environment.
Yeah.
Really, really incredible, incredible man. And then, of course, Alika. He's a Korean natural farmer, but his family's been here he was second canoe, second seat, I think the family came in on. So Alika really speaks for a group. He really did, and he continues to do so. We're very proud of Alika, and we're very proud of all the Ohana candidates.
Yeah, thank you so much for this time, Beth. So I'm really excited about this. Beth is such a presence. She's got what you say in Jewish chutzpah. You know, she is fervent, she's committed, she's a no-nonsense gal, and I just feel so proud that she is leading this up. She's a friend that I've had for, most of the 5 years she's been here, and I'm proud of her, and I'm proud of what she's doing.
Yeah, absolutely. We're so grateful. I mean, all the work that she's done and all the work that all the people, throughout these years, all the pouring of everything, whatever they had, time, money, voices, voting, and, what she's asking, go, act, help protect, really do your part in preserving the future.
Yeah, and it's really clear, some names were mentioned. These are people that are very clearly on the side of promoting the best for the environment. So
with that, we hope that you enjoyed this interview as much as we did. It was a great pleasure to have Beth with us and to see all the wonderful work that everybody did. And with that, we're going to say goodbye and invite you to come back for the next show. And until then, aloha.
Aloha.
Call me crazy, but I'm never giving up my dreams. No matter how far away they seem, maybe crazy is the secret to my magic.